Well, here we are. We're talking now about the UTAG strike. So, from the developments in Apiate, we're talking now about the UTAG situation. And 15 of their unions, campuses coming together to say, we are not going back to work, at least as far as teaching, the teaching component is concerned. Joining us for this conversation, we have Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedikusi, UCC's UTAG president. Doc, it's great to have you on board once more.
Yeah, good morning, my brother, and thanks for having me.
Right. Let's start from this very interesting point. The NLC, as an arbiter, has told you you are illegally embarking on this strike and you should go back. But your response has been to speak to your members, confer with them, and come out with releases from each of the 15 institutions where UTAG is present. And in complete defiance of the NLC, you say you are digging in, you will not go back.
Yes, my brother, I think that, as you rightly said, our official position is that we respect the NLC. It's a state institution. Nobody wants to do anything to bring the NLC's name into disrepute. And so we, as leaders, our constitutional mandate went to ask all our members to inform them of the directive of the NLC. And that is what we sought to do. Go to the members and tell them that this is what is coming from the NLC. And then hear from them as to the way forward. And as you have rightly indicated, all branches, all members, unanimous votes, unanimous voice votes saying that, yes, we have heard what the NLC is saying, but we think that this time around, we are not ready to call off or suspend because of our recent history, where we suspended and some things that were agreed upon were not fulfilled. And so unfortunately, that is how it is.
Unfortunately, that is how it is. Tell me, what aspects of your work exactly have been suspended? I've been looking at a release from Professor Ransford Jampo, and he's been talking about the fact that maybe the NLC in itself is not getting the facts right. So he talks about the fact that you teach, research, and do extension activities, and that so far it is just the teaching component you have suspended. Tell us, break this down for us. It means you're still working, it's just that you are not teaching.
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, as I speak to you, I'm speaking to you from my office. So I'm on campus, I am at work, and I am teaching. I mean, I am not teaching only. Apart from teaching, not teaching, we are still doing research. We are doing community service. We have some colleagues who are research fellows. So they are researching, they are engaging in all their research activities and community activities. So the only component of our core work, I mean, what you referred to, the three of them, teaching, community service, research. So the only component of our core duties that we have withdrawn is the teaching and its related activities. Yes. So I think that it should be rightly, it should be contextualized. So somebody just said that you are on strike, you are not working, and that is not correct. We are working, as you are aware. Students, first years have been on campus. They've gone through orientation. We receive them. If you go to the halls, the hall masters, hall tutors, all others are actively working. We have received them. They've gone through orientation. So It is not to say that we are not working. We are at work. Just that one aspect of our duties is what we have withdrawn.
Albeit a very important, a crucial aspect. But so how then does that make you feel? This is something else that Professor Jampo responds to. How then does it make you feel, the suggestion that since you are not teaching, maybe your salaries or benefits for the month of January should be suspended? That has been spoken of. It's been put out there. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that in crisis management and the situation we find ourselves in, people who are supposed to be the neutral arbiters, who are supposed to help resolve these matters, should not be the first people to go out there to put out these kinds of threats. It doesn't help the resolution processes that all of us are looking for. And so in the past, we have heard some comments from some communicators from the employer side. And yes, we think that that really does not augur well for all of us, because then people feel that you are threatening. And if indeed that is the posture that we want to adopt, in as much as the other side has expressed concern about the fact that we are not going back to the lecture room, it is also worrying that we will be having people on the other side who are supposed to be neutral arbiters also commenting and more or less taking sides that way. It doesn't help.
Are you accusing the NLC, the National Labor Commission, of siding with the employer or government? Are you accusing them of bias?
Well, I have not heard any of the commissioners, and it has not been the characteristic of any of the commissioners of the NLC to comment on these issues. It is, I think, just one person who speaks for the commission, who sometimes make those utterances. And I think that he ought to slow down a bit so that we can all sit down and have a meaningful engagement on this. Because you see, this is a strike action more or less unanimous. The grassroots, everybody, every lecturer is more in sync and says that, look, enough is enough. This time, let's hold our guns and we are not backing down. Right. And so if we are looking for a resolution, I don't think that the element of threats of withdrawal of salaries or even sacking, if you want to extend it, for me is the best way to go for us to have a resolution. And so I would wish that we all tone down on the commentary, which really doesn't. I mean, I have heard comments like heads of departments should write, vice chancellors should write. These people are also UTAG members. So right. If a head of department is a UTAG member, you expect that a head of department will write to you, the NLC, to say that my people are not teaching, so don't pay them. We are doing all the other work that we are supposed to do. So it's a bit more complex. And I think that that's the point that we are saying, that the commentators should seek to understand exactly the context within which this whole industrial action is happening, so that we can have a meaningful resolution rather than these elements of threats. It doesn't help.
Tell me, Doc, if matters escalate to the level where some of these things that you're hoping will not happen actually do happen, let's say your salaries are withdrawn for the month of January, or maybe even some of your members are sacked, would this only make matters worse? Are you willing at some point to concede and maybe go back, or it is what you want or nothing else? So if they take any of these actions, it will only push you to the wall further?
If I am to tell from the mood of the meetings we have had, then let me say that the grassroots are resolute, and they have even said that if that is where it will get to for us to get what we want, so be it. And that is why I keep sounding the warning that the employer and the actors, political actors, should understand the current industrial action we are in. It's moved beyond a certain level, and so we need to be careful, because people are ready to sacrifice if that is what it will take us to get what we want. But I believe that it's not about having an entrenched position. I mean, since yesterday the day before, there was a meeting with the Vice Chancellor's Ghana. Yesterday, there was a meeting called by the Sector Minister, Dr. Duchum. Beyond that, there was a meeting in which the Employment and Labor Relations Minister, the Deputy Minister of Finance, and even the fair wages were involved. So I want to believe that we can make a headway. And I'm looking at the discussions that are ongoing, trying to make sure that we get out of this. And looking at the poster from all these actors I have mentioned, I think that, and UTAG as well, we are committed to getting a peaceful resolution and coming out of this within the shortest possible time. Just that we need to have some level of concrete actions being taken on the side of the employer. And so I want to believe that the sector minister, having listened to all the concerns and all the other concerned ministers, and even GTEC, our immediate regulators, being part of all these discussions, I want to believe that we can find an amicable resolution going forward in the weeks ahead.
I'd like to find out to what extent is this political. Again, I'll source from what Professor Jampo has been sharing with us in recent times. Two main points he makes. I just want your take on it from the standpoint of teachers and maybe dealing with the political elements, because like it or not, your employers will be from those circles. So let me just read this to you in case you've not already seen this message, which I believe you have, but so we can discourse on it. In one of the points that Professor Jampo makes, he says, we know how lecturers fighting for better conditions of service in 1995 under Jerry Rawlings, and these are his words, a semi-dictator, were handled, and we gladly will compare it to how we are currently being treated by a regime headed by a Democrat, a good constitutional lawyer, and a very well-known human rights activist who has himself led demonstrations before. He adds to this, in a recent study, whose findings I am privy to, and by the way, this was conducted by Jampo, it has nothing to do with us. The current regime won massive support from lecturers in the election that got it to power. Out of the 81 polling stations across public tertiary institutions, the party of the current regime won 69. May this palpable sense of ingratitude to the cohort of citizenry, 78% of whom can be described as a base of the current regime, ginger lecturers to keep even more faith with this regime. He says it in line with breaking the eight. So let me tell you, let me find out from you. How political is this entire situation? And will it take political will to do what must be done on the back of what Professor Jampo is saying?
Well, I wouldn't want to veer into the angle of politics because, as I indicated, this is, if you check from the meetings we have held and all that, this is something which is about a union. This is something which is about everybody. Of course, if nothing at all, I can judge from the meeting which I chaired in the University of Cape Coast. And it is across board. Everybody is looking at the interests of the lecturer and not from any political lenses. And in terms of commitment of the political class to resolve this, well, so far as I am concerned, I have not seen any oppression or otherwise. But I think that it's better we put it in context. As I indicated, so far as I'm concerned, the immediate political actors who are supposed to help resolve these matters are the people, as I mentioned yesterday, we met virtually almost all of them. The Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, the Deputy Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education himself. And so I think that the people who ought to understand the issues and critically help deal with it are the people who are acting. Maybe what probably is missing is that one may expect that maybe very top members of the government or the top hierarchy would have waded into this as probably it happened sometime back in the 90s. But I want to believe that, from where I sit, and not wanting for us to wade in so much into the politics of it, I want to believe that whatever is happening, it's communicated to the top class, and I'm sure they would move in as and when they have to, because then you have line managers who are supposed to deal with the situation. So if indeed they are acting, and we are hoping for some resolution, I don't think that it is out of place. So I want to leave it at that, and not wade so much into the politics or otherwise of it. Yeah.
Doc, thank you so much for sharing these thoughts with us. And again, we wish you the very best as you embark on this demonstration. The students would love to have you back, though. Just keep that.
Sure. We all love to go back and teach.
Right.
That is what we do best. So we are hoping for the best.
Right. Thank you so much. Dr. Bert Wedikusi here is president of UTAG at the UCC. But let's